The first thing I noticed wasn't the music. It was the way my family formed a circle, tight, shining, and closed, like they were guarding something expensive. And I wasn't invited inside it. The ballroom of the Lakeshore Crown Hotel glowed with warm lights and expensive flowers. A champagne tower stood like a monument. My brother Logan Pierce was in the center, laughing with his new friends, his fiancée hanging off his arm like she'd already won. I adjusted the strap of my purse and stepped forward anyway. I didn't come to be liked. I came to finish something. My sister Tessa spotted me first. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She leaned toward our mom Brenda, whispered something, and Brenda's face stiffened like she'd just smelled smoke. My Aunt Renee glided over in her glittery dress, bracelets clinking as if she wanted everyone to hear her judgment arriving. She didn't say hello. She didn't ask how I'd been. She leaned in close, voice soft like perfume and poisonous. She doesn't belong with us anymore. Tessa's lips curled, satisfied, like she'd been waiting all week to hear that line out loud. Mom said nothing. Not a single word. Just stood there holding her glass, staring past me like I was an inconvenience she couldn't afford to acknowledge. I stared at them for a beat. Then I smiled. Because 10 minutes ago, those words would have cut me. Tonight, they sounded like a countdown. I walked past Aunt Renee, without arguing. No scene. No tears. No begging. That was their favorite version of me. Small, pleading, desperate. I left her standing there with her smug little victory, and I headed straight to the check-in desk outside the ballroom. A young staff member looked up. "Hi, can I help you?" "I'm here for the Pierce engagement event," I said. "Can you call the manager for me? Tell him Harper Lane is here." The staff member froze for half a second. Not confusion, recognition. "Yes, ma'am," he said quickly and picked up the phone. Behind me, the ballroom doors opened again and spilled laughter into the hallway. I could hear my brother's voice, loud and proud, soaking up attention like it was oxygen. They were celebrating. They had no idea they were standing on a trapdoor. A moment later, the hotel manager appeared, mid-40s, crisp suit, sharp eyes. The kind of man who didn't waste words because his time cost money. He saw me and immediately straightened. "Ms. Lane," he said, respectful. "Good evening." I nodded. "Evening, Mr. Dalton." He lowered his voice. "Everything is ready, as you requested. Would you like to proceed now?" "Yes," I said. "But do it properly." His eyes flicked toward the ballroom doors. In front of them? I didn't even hesitate. In front of everyone. He held my gaze for a second, then gave a tight nod like he understood exactly what kind of night this was about to become. "Very well," he said. "I'll make the announcement." We walked back toward the ballroom together. Each step felt calm. Clean. Like walking into a courtroom where I already had the evidence. The doors opened wide. Music. Laughter. Glasses clinking. Then people noticed the manager walking in. And the noise softened. He didn't head toward my brother. He didn't approach my mother. He walked straight to me. My Aunt Renee's mouth parted. Tessa blinked hard, confused, then suddenly nervous. Mom's smile slipped like it was melting off her face. Logan's laughter died mid-breath. Mr. Dalton stopped beside me, lifted a hand slightly to get the room's attention, and spoke clearly. "Excuse me, everyone. I'm looking for Harper Lane." Silence snapped into place. A few heads turned toward me. My brother's eyes narrowed, like he was trying to solve a puzzle he didn't like. Mom's face went pale. My Aunt Renee took a step back. And my sister's voice came out sharp, almost panicked. "Why are you calling her name?" I met Tessa's stare, and kept my smile steady. Because I knew what they didn't. The hotel manager wasn't calling me to welcome me. He was calling me because this entire event, this glittering ballroom, the champagne tower, the luxury package, the live band, was tied to my approval. And the moment they realized it, they were going to start screaming. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Then my brother Logan let out a nervous laugh, the kind people use when they think confusion will save them. There must be some mistake," he said, waving a hand toward me. "She's just family." The word just hung in the air like an insult. Mr. Dalton didn't smile. He turned slightly toward Logan, but his attention stayed anchored to me. "There's no mistake," he said calmly. "Ms. Lane is listed as the primary account holder for this event's premium hospitality agreement." The room didn't erupt. It cracked. My Aunt Renee stiffened. "Primary what?" My mother Brenda finally stepped forward, her voice tight. "Harper, why is the hotel manager saying your name?" I looked at her. Not with anger, not with hurt, but with the patience you give someone who ignored warnings. "Because I'm the one who approved the venue," I said evenly. Gasps rippled through the room. My sister Tessa shook her head hard. "That's not funny." "I'm not joking." Logan frowned. "You don't even have that kind of money." I tilted my head. "You never asked." That stung more than yelling ever could. Mr. Dalton cleared his throat. "To clarify," he said, "this event was booked under Ms. Lane's corporate hospitality profile through LHL Consulting. All premium services, including the ballroom, catering, band, and champagne installation, require her authorization." My aunt's voice rose. "She doesn't own this place." "No," Mr. Dalton said politely. "But her company is one of our long-term partners." My mom's hands began to tremble around her glass. "Harper, why would you do this without telling us?" I met her eyes. "You stopped asking me things a long time ago." That landed. Tessa stepped closer, lowering her voice like she was trying to contain a fire. "So, what? Are you trying to embarrass us?" I didn't answer her. I turned to Mr. Dalton instead. "Can you remind everyone what happens if the primary holder withdraws approval?" He nodded once. "All premium services are suspended immediately." The room buzzed. Logan's smile vanished. "You wouldn't." I met his stare. "You didn't think I belonged here." He swallowed. Aunt Renee scoffed loudly. "This is petty." "No," I said calmly. "This is boundaries." My mother rushed toward me, panic finally breaking through her composure. "Harper, please. People are watching." I glanced around at the guests, faces frozen, whispers spreading, phones sliding discreetly into pockets. "Yes," I said softly. "They are." Mr. Dalton waited, professional and unmoved. I took a slow breath. Then I said the words that made my sister's face drain of color. "Pause the services." Logan stepped forward. "Harper, don't." Mr. Dalton lifted a hand, already signaling staff. Within seconds, the band's music cut off mid-note. The champagne fountain stopped flowing. Servers froze in place. The room fell dead quiet. Someone in the back whispered, "What's happening?" My Aunt Renee's voice cracked. "You can't do this." I finally looked at her. "You told me I didn't belong." Tessa's eyes flashed with anger and fear. "You planned this." "Yes," I said. "Because you planned everything else without me." Logan ran a hand through his hair, breathing fast. "What do you want?" That question felt good. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I answered honestly. "I want respect." Silence again. My mother's shoulders sagged. "Harper." I raised my hand gently. "Not now." Then I turned back to Mr. Dalton. "You can resume," I said, "after one thing." He nodded. "Of course." I faced the room. "My name's Harper Lane," I said clearly. "I was invited here as an afterthought. Spoken about like I wasn't family. Tonight wasn't about revenge. It was about reminding everyone that erasing someone doesn't mean they disappear." No shouting. No insults. Just truth. The music slowly returned. Servers moved again. But the damage was done.
They weren't screaming yet.
They were stunned. The party restarted, but it wasn't the same. Music played, glasses clinked again, but every laugh sounded forced, like people were pretending nothing had happened while replaying every word in their heads. The guests kept glancing at me, then at my family, then back again, unsure who held the power now. They were right to be unsure, because power had shifted. My sister Tessa was the first to break. She pulled me aside near the tall windows overlooking the city lights, her smile gone, voice sharp and hurried. "Okay," she said under her breath. "You've made your point. Congratulations." "That wasn't my point," I replied calmly. She scoffed. Then what? You want an apology? A speech? I want honesty, I said. She laughed bitterly. From who?
From you.
Her jaw tightened.
Fine.
You want the truth? We didn't think you'd amount to much. You left, you stopped asking for help, and we assumed you were barely getting by. I nodded. And you never checked. Her eyes flicked away. I built something, I said quietly. Not to impress you. To survive. She folded her arms. So what now? You going to hold this over us forever? No, I said. Just tonight. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time and didn't like what she saw. Across the room, my Aunt Renee was already doing damage control, whispering to guests, trying to rewrite the story. My mother Brenda sat at a table, staring into her drink like it might answer her questions. My brother Logan approached slowly, his confidence stripped down to nerves. Harper, he said, lowering his voice. I messed up. I waited. I should have stood up for you, he continued. I didn't. I was trying to keep the peace. I met his eyes. Whose peace? He didn't answer. That silence, I said, is why we're here. He exhaled, defeated. What do you want me to do? Nothing, I said. That's the problem. You're used to doing nothing when it matters. He flinched. Mr. Dalton approached again, discreet. Ms. Lane, the remaining event time is confirmed. Would you like to extend or conclude as scheduled? I didn't answer right away. I looked at my family, each of them frozen in different shades of regret, pride, and fear. Then I said, conclude as scheduled. Relief washed over some faces. Disappointment over others. But certainty? That was mine. As the night wound down, guests began leaving, polite goodbyes filled with curiosity. A few people approached me quietly. Good for you, one woman whispered. You handled that with grace, another said. I thanked them, but I wasn't there for applause. I was there for closure. Near the exit, my mother finally stopped me. Harper, she said softly. I didn't know. I held her gaze. You didn't ask. She swallowed. I was afraid if I acknowledged you, it would upset everyone else. And now? I asked. Her eyes filled. Now I see what it cost. I nodded once. That's all I needed. She reached for my hand. I let her. Not because everything was fixed, but because healing starts with truth. Outside, the night air felt lighter. Cleaner. Logan stood by the valet, staring at the ground. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. I just wish I'd said it sooner. I smiled gently. So, do I. As I walked away, my phone buzzed. A message from my business partner. You handled that well. Ready for the next phase? I typed back one word. Always. Because revenge isn't about destruction. It's about rising so high that the people who dismissed you finally have to look up. The next morning felt strangely quiet. No music. No chandeliers. No eyes watching to see if I'd slip. Just sunlight pouring through my apartment windows and the calm that comes after a storm finally passes. I made coffee, stood by the window, and let myself breathe. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was running from my family or chasing their approval. What happened at the hotel hadn't magically fixed everything, but it had balanced something that had been crooked for a long time. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Logan. Can we talk? No pressure. I stared at it for a moment, then replied. Lunch. 1 hour. At the cafe near the river, Logan looked different. Quieter. Like someone who'd finally stopped pretending everything was fine. I rewatched last night in my head all night, he admitted. Every moment I stayed quiet. I stirred my drink slowly. That's growth. He nodded. I didn't protect you. I let everyone decide who you were without you in the room. Yes, I said gently. You did. He winced, but didn't argue. I don't expect forgiveness, he continued. But I want to be better. I studied his face, searching for excuses. I found none. That's all I needed to hear, I said. We talked, not about money, not about power, but about boundaries. About respect. About how family isn't measured by who speaks the loudest, but by who shows up when it's uncomfortable. When we parted, it felt lighter. Later that afternoon, my mother called. Her voice wasn't defensive this time. It was careful. Honest. "I've been thinking," she said, "about how often I stayed silent when I should have spoken. Silence again, but a different kind. I don't know how to fix it," she admitted. "You don't fix it," I replied. "You change it." She exhaled slowly. "I want to try." "That's enough," I said. "Not forgiveness."
Not yet.
But a door unlocked. A week later, an envelope arrived at my office. Inside was a handwritten note from my Aunt Renee. No excuses. No fake kindness. Just 3 words. I was wrong. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because closure doesn't always require conversation. Sometimes, it just requires acknowledgement. That evening, I stood on the balcony of my apartment, city lights stretching endlessly ahead of me. My phone chimed again, this time for my business partner. "The Lakeshore wants to renew our contract. Long term." I smiled. The same hotel, where I'd been told I didn't belong, now wanted my signature again. I typed back. "Send the paperwork." Power doesn't shout. It waits. A few days later, my family gathered again, this time in my space. No chandeliers. No cameras. No audience. Just people trying to relearn each other. Tessa was quieter. Careful with her words. "I underestimated you," she admitted. "I won't again." I met her gaze. "That's all I expect. Not friendship. Respect." As they left, my mother lingered. "You built something incredible," she said softly. I nodded. "I built it without permission." She smiled sadly. "I see that now." When the door closed behind them, I felt something settle inside me. Not victory. Peace. I hadn't destroyed anyone. I hadn't screamed or humiliated or begged. I had stood still while the truth did the work. And in doing so, I reclaimed something far more valuable than control over a party. I reclaimed myself. Because the best kind of revenge is a life so full, so steady, and so unshakable that no one ever dares to tell you again that you don't belong.